Once again, let us recollect the kindness of the Triple Jewels, and with a full gratitude in heart, let us place our palms together to request Geshe to turn the wheel of Dharma according to the well wishes and capacities of the student. Geshe, kindly give us the teaching.
I go for refuge until my enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through the practice of giving and so forth, Buddha to all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje Juda Zoge Chonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyabzo Che Age Jinso Kebe Sonamge Tola Penjere Sanje Lumara Isho Sanje Juda Zoge Chonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyabzo Che Age Jinso Gebe Sonamge Trola Benjere Sanje Drubara Isho Sanje Juda Zoge Chona Amla Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyabzo Che Age Jinso Gebe Sonamge Trola Benjere Sanje Sho Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Te Sham Dathagato Yavatat Te Sham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vati Mahashramana Yesvam Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Te Sham Dathagato Yavatat Te Sham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramana Yesvam Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Te Sham Dathagato Yavatat Te Sham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramana Yesvam. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessational causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, where do you leave? Page number 189. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, D. A refutation of all four parts of the Tetralema is not a legitimate critique of conventional phenomena. So the opponents in the Tibetan scholars around that time, around time of Lama Tsongkhapa and before that, and some of them are really very famous, very popular, and yet the view that they hold and think that is a very high level view. Lama Tsongkhapa sees that this is not really a good idea. So we need to correct. We need to spread the correct view. So in this connection, so what they say, what their point of view is that if the four parts of the Tetralema is rejected, then the conventional truth, for example, the flower doesn't exist in the four modes as in the Tetralema. Reject this four, then the flower is rejected. This is what they think. But what we say is that rejection of the four parts of the Lamma rejects intrinsic flower, not the flower. Okay, so conventional truth is not rejected. Quan, the Madhyamaka text refute all parts of the Lamma, a thing or intrinsic nature. What are the four parts? It reject the rejection of the existence, rejection of the non-existence, and both existence and non-existence, and neither existence nor non-existence. All four possible modes are rejected. Therefore, reason refutes everything. The flower is rejected, everything's rejected. And if you can push further, law of karma is rejected, true religion rejected, everything rejected. As there are no phenomena that are not included among these four. Now, the answer that you will give is that this rejection for parts of the Lamma rejects intrinsic phenomena. It doesn't reject and the phenomena per se. This is your response. So let's see. As indicated earlier, thing, the word thing in Tibetan is ngopo. Ngopo thing, a thing. It has two meanings. Thing, to be rejected or to be established. That thing has two meanings. One, thing. So if we ask the young scholars, monks, and nowadays even the nuns, is because of His Holiness, the Dharma's blessings, and His Holiness's advice, encouragement, that even the nuns, they are getting the equal opportunity to study the deeper philosophical texts. So therefore now the nun scholars and the monk scholars, the young ones, if you ask them, what do you mean by thing? What is ngopo? Then they will say tunjanipa, something which can function. So this is, the definition that they will give. So thing has this meaning, for something which functions. In other words, a thing in that sense, in the context of functionality, thing and impermanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. Thing and impermanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. Thing in the form of functionality or which can function. Number one. Then number two, the connotation thing is that the thing in the form of the intrinsicality, intrinsic existence, or objective existence. So, or essential existence, objective existence, and so forth. These are all synonymous. So when you see the mention in the sutras, in the commentaries, where a thing is rejected, then the young ones may say that no, thing can't be rejected, it's wrong. But thing has many connotations. So when you reject it, it should be rejected in the form of the things referring to intrinsic existence. So whereas the things that is established in the conventional sense, that is the function, an object which has the ability to function. That is what exists. And the thing that is rejected refers to the intrinsic existence. This is the two connotations we need to remember. For example, usually the same word can have multiple meanings. When I was in my younger days, like 20, 21, 22, and so forth, I've been always hearing that Sanskrit is a very rich, of course, it's an extremely sophisticated language, and for example, the German also, very sophisticated language, and because I was not actually exposed to the outside world. So we have in the Tibetan text, you do find the Sanskrit words, and the scholars, they would say that this has this meaning, that meaning, multiple. I'll be just fascinated. Later on, when I meet with the people who are learning Tibetan language, so they learn the Tibetan words based on dictionaries or with some in a class. So they learn it one way, and when they use it, it's very weird. So, and it's weird to see that they use it in a very strange way. Then, but what they said is not wrong. It can also refer like this, but in this context, it should mean differently. So then I see that it's not only one language. I would say that almost all languages, there you can see the usage of one word one word with multiple meanings. This is something common to all the languages. I think it depends on the culture, how sophisticated culture is. Then to that extent, the sophistication of the languages, one word, having multiple meanings can come into being. For example, now in today's context, for example, let's say that the story which I used to share with the people is that that a young monk and the mentor monk, young monk from the new generation, computer generation, and the mentor monk from the old generation, no idea of computers. So the young monk, seeing that everybody's using emails, young monk asked I have to check if the monks are allowed to use emails. So he went to the teacher and asked, "Sir, are the monks allowed to use emails?" And the senior monk, the monk teacher, did not have any clue. So what was the same answer to give? He said that, okay, as long as there is no attachment, it's fine. As long as there's no attachment, it's fine, because they say there should be no attachment. So the word attachment, how the senior monk understands, how the younger monk understands, very different. It's the same word. For the senior monk, attachment means desire, craving, and so forth. That should not be there. For the young monk, how can you use emails without attachments? So all the files are sent as a form of attachment with the emails. So therefore, same word can have multiple meanings. So this is where we should be very, very careful to make sure that we don't impose our own understanding of the word. So how the other person uses the word, that must be brought into consideration. And then on that basis, try to understand the context. Okay, here, the thing, up there, the quam, it says that the Madhyamaka text refute all parts of the Teta Lemma, a thing. Just the second line of the quam, where it writes quam, a thing or intrinsic nature, a thing. This word is there, ngupo. So now, Lama Tsongkhapa is saying that thing, ngupo, has multiple meanings. One in the form of something, an object which has the ability to function. And number two, an object which is intrinsically real, intrinsicality, intrinsic existence. It has multiple meanings. So, reading the reply as indicated earlier, thing has two meanings. Between these two, what we refute is we don't refute the thing which connotes the functionality. Instead, we refute what? Thing which connotes intrinsic reality. We refute the assertion that things essentially exist. Okay, things better would be essential existence in comma, in inverted comma. That would be good. Inverted comma. Things, inverted comma, or things I'm referring to essential existence in terms of both truths. That is rejected. Intrinsic or essential existent thing, when you understand it as essential existence or intrinsic existence, that is to be refuted. However, at the conventional level, we do not refute things that can perform functions. A thing in the sense of what has function, that is not rejected. That's not rejected. So when you say, somebody says, oh, thing exists, and the other person says, no, things do not exist, then they don't really contradict. They really don't really contradict. You have to check, what do you mean by things? It has multiple meanings. So thing in the form of intrinsic existence, that is rejected. Thing connoting what has function is not rejected. On the conventional level, we do not refute things that can perform functions. As for non-things, now non-things like non-composite space, non-thing here refers to the non-composite space and so forth. If you hold that non-compounded phenomena, non-composite phenomena are essentially existent or intrinsic existent, non-things are essentially or intrinsic existent non-things, then we also refute such non-things. We refute intrinsically existent non-things. In the intrinsically existent, the composite phenomena. We likewise refute something that is both such a thing and such a non-thing. Thing is rejected, non-thing is rejected. What is rejected? Intrinsic things rejected, intrinsic non-things rejected. And we also refute something that essentially exists as neither. So there, thing is rejected, non-thing is rejected, meaning that thing, functional, non-thing, non-functional, to be existing intrinsically is rejected, both as intrinsically is rejected, and neither as intrinsically is rejected. In other words, in dream, who's correct? Tell me. In dream, somebody says that, oh, this house has many people. In dream, say you dream of a house with many people, and two persons, you are arguing with somebody, and you said, oh, in this hall there are so many people, and the other person, in this hall there's nobody, right? This hall, the empty hall, and somebody is both. Somebody says neither, right? So there's a hole there, and who's correct? When you wake up, who's correct? All are wrong. You're getting it? Because in the dream, what you see as a hall in the dream, with person, without person, with, without, neither with, neither, no, without, all are wrong, because there's no hall in the first place. That's a dream hall, it's not real hall. So intrinsic hall, intrinsic existence, within that, what is functional, what is non-functional, both functional, non-functional, neither functional, no non-functional, all don't make make sense on the ultimate level. You agree? Okay, this is what it is. So what I would suggest is that in English, I'm not a native speaker, so native speakers reading this, don't say that it doesn't make any sense, because this is philosophy, it's not poetry. So what I would suggest, you study it more, read it more. After studying, after the class, read it more. When you really understand the meaning, then I would say particularly the native speakers see that if this English is okay. Then is you to decide. At the moment you cannot decide, because this contains the deeper philosophical concepts. So one time there is somebody who was helping me with editing the text, this book. And the editor and two of us, we were having a little bit of the disagreement with the usage of vocabularies. And I'm not even a native speaker, and the editor's English is so good, from Cambridge. And then so now she's no more with Tibet House. So when we have a little bit of disagreement, I'm very confident that the mind one is correct. And she said, no, this is not correct. I said that the best thing, let's not argue. Your English is very good English, but still I can see it's wrong. So better call your mom. Her mom has a natural English, not tainted by the philosophy. She doesn't know philosophy. So it's a very natural English. So I said, call your mom right away. Then she calls, Mom, there is which is the proper English. And the mother would usually say, one is proper English. Because she is tainted by the philosophy. And then afterwards, again we have some discussion of philosophical words. Then she would say, Geshe, shall I call my mom? I said, don't call. This is philosophy words, your mother will not know yet. Then the mother, what she says, will be wrong one. So with the pure English thing, you ask somebody, with philosophical words, you have to ask somebody with the native English speaker plus with the philosophy information. So this is where we need to be careful. Okay, with this, continue reading. We likewise refute something that is both such a thing, meaning on the intrinsic level, such a thing as intrinsic, such a non-thing as intrinsic, and we also refute something that essentially exists as neither this or that as intrinsic. All are rejected. Thus, you should understand that all methods for refuting the tetralema are like this, involving some qualifier. So therefore, what is being rejected is with the qualifier essentially. Essentially meaning intrinsic. So it's not just rejecting existent rejected, non-existent rejected. There are Tibetan scholars, even today, who believe that, oh, things don't exist. Existence is rejected. Non-existence rejected. And both exist and non-existence rejected. Neither exists nor the non-existence also rejected. So look, there's a contradiction in the air. So this is the beauty and the strength of Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings, where there's ease there. There's no contradiction. Even in the words, there's no contradiction. So if you say you reject existence, you reject non-existence, the problem is what? You reject existence, no existence, which means you reject existence. Then you reject non-existence. Look, reject non-existence. You're getting it? How many negations are there? Two negations are there. Reject, non-existence. So there are two negations. Double negation is a positive. So existence should be inferred. On the one hand, you said existence is not true. Non-existence is not true. It's fine, existence is not true, it's okay. But you said non-existence is not true. Non-existence is non, then existence is affirmed. On the one side, you said existence is not true. Now you are saying existence is true. But rejecting non-existence as existence is affirmed. So this is a contradiction. And still they said this is the highest view. Okay, so real highest view is where the existence as intrinsic rejected, non-existence as intrinsic is rejected. Then existence and non-existence as intrinsic both is rejected. Neither existence nor non-existence as intrinsic is rejected. That is the highest view. Failing to see this, they just take the words literally and then end up into confusion. Okay, we likewise refute something that is both such a thing and such a non-thing. Okay, so involving some qualifiers such as essentially meaning intrinsic. So attaching intrinsic, then everything's rejected. Suppose that you refute, okay, suppose that you refute the tetralema without affixing any such qualification. Okay, so this, they require a little bit of translation, the modification. Professor Roger Jackson, please keep that keep that in mind, because if you're part of the translation team, you can inform whoever is the translator of this section. Some of these are there. There would be helpful in future if there's room for improvement. Suppose that you refute the tetralema without affixing any such qualification, without attaching intrinsic. You directly keep rejecting like this, then it says you refute. Instead of that, it should be when refuting, because in the text it said neither self, nor from another, nor from both, nor costly, likewise, neither existent, nor non-existence, neither both, nor non-both. So these four. So if the qualifier intrinsic is not attached, if you read it literally, so that section which to be read with the qualifier. So when you read it, so instead of you refute, it says it should be when refuting in that text, bringing the text, when refuting the position that things exist, and then you refute the position, again underline this, instead of that, when refuting the position that things exist and not exist. So that is creating the platform. Creating a platform when refuting existence and non-existence from this citation. Then according to you who do not attach the qualifier, according to you, okay, then it says when refuting the position that things exist or not exist, you then say, so you will then say that it is not the case that they both exist and do not exist, meaning that existence is rejected, not the case, meaning existence is not true, non-existence is not true. You're getting it? So it is not the case that they both exist and do not exist. So the rejecting existence as well as non-existence, not the case, meaning is not existent, no non-existent too. If this is the case, do you see any contradiction? If I say that, oh, the Buddha said existence rejected, non-existence rejected, existence, non-existence, both are rejected, neither existence, no non-existence rejected. So both existence, non-existence rejected. If I say the flower, existence of flower is rejected, non-existence of flower is rejected. Do you see contradiction here? Okay, Ashwin, what contradiction do you see? Ashwin? Mike? Raise hand. Okay, when I ask the question, just see what is your answer. You're getting it? What is your answer? You may get some idea, but when you try to articulate, you may not be able to articulate it. So this is where your intelligence is growing. Okay, yes.
Geshe, when you reject existence of something, this implies that you accept its opposite, which is non-existence.
Are you sure? Okay, if you're not sure, which means that okay, and so you see that you are in dilemma, right? So with dilemma means you don't want to stay in dilemma. So we'll try to get out of this. How to get out of this? Think more. Think more. This is where the intelligence grows. Anyone? Anyone else? Okay. Sorry, your name again?
Tushar.
Tushar, yes.
If flower is rejected, then non-existence is implied.
Okay, let's say if the existence of flower is rejected,
then the non-existence of flower is implied.
yes.
But if if non-existence of flower is stated,
Rejected?
If non-existence of flower is also rejected, then existence of flower is implied. So that is the contradiction.
Very good. Okay, so basically what Ashwin says is correct. I'm just checking his confidence. Okay, both are correct. Thank you. So this is where you say that, whereas if I say that existence of flower is intrinsic, rejected. Non-existence of flower intrinsic is rejected. Do you see any contradiction? Huh? Hey, do you see a contradiction? My question is that, say, I accept, you look at whether I have contradiction or not. I say, existence of flower as intrinsic is rejected. Non-existence of flower as intrinsic is rejected. Is there any contradiction? Why not? When the existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected, then the non-existence of the intrinsic flower is affirmed. Not affirmed. Non-existence of the intrinsic flower is affirmed. Non-existence, so existence of the intrinsic is rejected, non-existence of the intrinsic flower is affirmed. No? No. Oh, this what kind of philosopher is this? From Acharya Arindagarjuna, Acharya Chandrakriti, or from another planet? Because, okay, listen to me. Intrinsic flower, existence of intrinsic flower or existence of intrinsic flower is rejected. Reject means the intrinsic existence of the flower as intrinsic is not true, which means that non-existence of the intrinsic flower is affirmed. Okay, now many say yes. Okay, that's good. Actually, it's yes. But do you see difference now? So they say existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected. Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected. Agree? Not agree? Can these two go together? Existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected. Yes, no. Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected. Yes, no. Huh? Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected or not? Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected or not? Okay, I can see that there's a split in the answers in the group. There's a split. Hey, so existence of the flower as intrinsic is rejected. That's easy. Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic, rejected, not rejected. It exists, it's true, not true. Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic is true or not true? Not true. Non-existence of the flower is intrinsic. Non-existence of the flower is intrinsic, that flower is intrinsic is non-existent. True or not true? The mind hangs. You getting it? Okay, Sunla. I don't know. I don't understand his smile. But is agreeing or not agreeing, I don't understand it. See, the non-existence of the flower is intrinsic. Rejected, not rejected?
Reject.
Rejected. Non-flower, the non-existence of the flower is intrinsic, is rejected.
Yes.
Which means it's not true.
Not true.
Okay, so non-existence of the flower is existent. Non-existence of the flower is intrinsic. That is non-existent or existent?
Non-existent.
Non-existence of the flower is intrinsic. Flower is intrinsic, is existent, non-existent.
Non-existent.
So non-existence of the flower is intrinsic is true.
Not true.
Because flower is existent. Flower is intrinsic. Okay. Non-existence of the flower is intrinsic. Is true, not true?
Not true.
Not true. Now look, I'm reversing it. Flower is intrinsic. Existent, non-existent.
Non-existent.
Non-existent. So therefore, non-existence of the flower as intrinsic is true.
Not true.
Is not true means double negation. Okay, so it is not non-existent of flower as existent. True?
Not true.
I added not and still you said not true. I did not add and still you are saying that. So this is okay. Professor Roger, what do you say? Okay, Penla. This is Here.
Yeshla, I think it depends how you structure the sentence. Because you say non-existence of the flower, if that is the object as intrinsic, this is false. But then if you say non-existence of the flower as intrinsic, that is false, and then non-existence of the flower as intrinsic, that is true.
Which is true? The first one, second one.
Second one.
Which is the second one?
Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic.
That is true or false?
That is false. That is false.
Which is false?
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, look. Okay, Dr. Anita. Okay, look. The mic.
So,
Mic. Yes.
okay. Non-existence of flower as intrinsic is wrong. Okay. The flower as intrinsically non-existent would be correct.
So, non-existence of the flower is intrinsic is wrong or right?
Wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
So, non-existence of the flower is intrinsic is correct.
Non. You have to go the way I said it. So, flower as intrinsically non-existent.
Okay, so look. So now the Dr. And is going to start a different tradition debate, right? According to that's for the last 1,000 years, the tradition is that the debater can ask any question. Now the new system is that the answerer will tell you what to ask. Okay, so basically what two of them are saying is correct, and so there are two things. One is that when we add this double negation, our brain hangs. This is one problem. Our brain hangs, and then once it hangs, right, you can trick anything. You can ask any question, the person will hang. Brain hangs. This is how it works. So therefore, these trainings, fast debating, this is exercise for us, and that you do not get, your brain doesn't hang. This exercise will greatly help us. Otherwise, the moment you add 2-3 negations, your brain hangs. This is one thing. Then the next is that the answer that they gave is correct. Answer given is correct, but on is a language ambiguity kicking in. So as the okay. The light is off, and the Russian translator is not getting any. Yes.
Is it okay to do a short question while we're waiting?
Yes, yes.
So just my current understanding would be that this language ambiguity is not present in the Tibetan. Is that correct?
Okay, Yundala is saying that this language ambiguity is not the what you find in Tibetan. This language ambiguity is in English. So even Tibetan also there's language ambiguity, because that the say Rangshin Dubbe Mendo Rangshin Mendo Meba Rangshin Duba Mendo Meba. So in fact, when I was studying, I did notice there's a language ambiguity there. In English, the language ambiguity is huge. In English, in Tibetan, the language ambiguity in this regard, the others I don't know. They could be. We cannot say that Tibetan is better than the English language, but seems that from here said that Mendo yoba rangshingu duba, Mendo meba rangshingu duba, Mendo meba rangshingu duba, Mendo meba rangshingu duba. That the ambiguity is much less. Yes, what Kendall is saying is correct. The ambiguity is much less in Tibetan. In English, the ambiguity is a big problem. So what Ben? Oh. Working? Good. So what Ben was saying, this is how we separated. So to resolve, so these debates, these studies will greatly help us in ways that you'll be able to, with these discussions, then ambiguities can come up. And then you will catch, oh, there's ambiguity there. What he's saying is correct, but what she's saying is correct, but on the surface, these two seem as contradictory. In actuality, it's not contradictory. So is the language ambiguity there? So, saying the flower non-existing, non-existence of the flower as intrinsically real. There are three things: non-existence of the flower as intrinsically real. There are three things there. Now, say non-existence, keep aside. And you, number two and number three, you attach it. The flower as intrinsically real. If you attach these two, non-existence of the flower is intrinsically real, that is correct. Then non-existence of the flower you attach to the first one. Non-existence of the flower as intrinsic. As intrinsic, that's to be rejected. You understand it? Okay, so in English, I did see that there are several language ambiguities, and because of which these teachings, discussions will be very helpful. So if the language ambiguity is not removed, then it can be a great hurdle for us. Great hurdle. And you say, on the one hand, it is saying that it exists, on the other hand, it's saying it doesn't exist. It's actually all, and even the translators may not be able to see this language ambiguity sometimes, even the translators. Okay. So with this in mind, the paragraph, which the second last paragraph, suppose that you refute the Theta Lama without affixing any such qualification. Then I modified the translation. When refuting the position that things exist and things do not exist, meaning that when refuting from that source, the text, we said no existence, no non-existence, so forth. When in that case, then how will you interpret? You will say, it is not the case that they both exist and do not exist. which means the both existent and the non-existence are rejected. Both of them are rejected. If you reject both, existence rejected, non-existence rejected, then when you say non-existence rejected, what happens? Reject non-existence. So double negation comes. Reject means not true, not. Non-exist, non. Again, double. So this is a double negation. Double negation is positive, then existence affirmed. So you say existence rejected, and meanwhile, when you reject non-existence, existence is affirmed again. So this is contradiction. It's also not the case that they are neither existent nor non-existent. Then you explicitly contradict your own position. If you then stubbornly insist, even so there's no fallacy, there's no problem, then the debate is over, because we do not debate with the obstinate, stubborn people. Furthermore, when you refute essential or intrinsic nature or self with regard to the aggregates, this gives rise to wisdom. Okay, so now look, this very important point raised here. So finally, just keep rejecting something. No. Why all these teachings were given? Rejecting the Tetralema. Why these teachings were given? For what? Anyone? What is the ultimate, the purpose for that? Anyone? What do you think? Finally, what's the reason? Why all these teachings were given? Rejecting this, rejecting that, and so forth. Why all these teachings were given? Yes. Hey, there. Present. It's the same. Go there or go here, same. Same distance. Yes.
Remove self-grasping ignorance.
To remove the ignorance, this is the point. To remove the ignorance. Now look, so we have to remember what we are trying to say, the purpose. So just you take something from the sutra, take something from the commentaries, Indian commentaries, and then just explain, just say that this like this without knowing, forgetting the purpose. Purpose is to remove yourself. Purpose is to stop up in the painful tears. Painful tears all because of the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. The purpose is to remove this ignorance. And how to remove this ignorance? Anyone? How to remove the ignorance? By introducing the counterforce. What is the counterforce? The wisdom. How do you know that this wisdom is the counterforce of this ignorance? How do you know that? Dr. Andaji? How do you know that?
Because as soon as you see the wisdom of emptiness, spontaneously you realize that.
This is not the question. How do you know that this is and this wisdom is the counterforce of the... What should the criteria for that wisdom? Criteria required for the wisdom to be the counterforce of that particular ignorance.
Should uproot
over there. Yeah, okay. Hey, gentlemen, there.
It's the direct opposite of ignorance, self-grasping ignorance.
Anybody else? Is correct. Okay, Petula. He's so lazy now. He don't almost get up.
You have to have an antidote whose mode of apprehension is directly contradictory to it. So the wisdom realizing selflessness is directly contradictory to the mode of apprehension.
With respect to the mode, the two should be directly contradictory with respect to the mode of apprehension. Anyone else? So this is perfect. Okay, the Raviji.
Because the wisdom of emptiness is only liberating path.
Wisdom of emptiness is the liberating path. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else who likes to make it really crispy with the edge? Okay, Chavila. Here. Chavila, raise your hand so that the young men can see that. Hey.
Geshe, the wisdom and ignorance should be in direct opposition with respect to the object of apprehension.
Okay, so what Venerable Peduna said and what the Chavila said, these two are just same. And in fact, your name? What's Sashin? Jiasha. Jiasha and Dr. Anda, what they said is they all same point. So, but for people like us who do not have a native English, so for them this is very good. What Chavila said, the wisdom should be such that the wisdom and the ignorance should be directly in opposition with respect to the object of apprehension. Let me say this once more. So the Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings, they're extremely succinct and there's an edge there. There's an edge. There's an edge there. So the wisdom, the ignorance should be, the wisdom should be such that it should be directly in opposition with the ignorance with respect to the object of apprehension. Then the ambiguity is removed. All language ambiguities are removed. The wisdom should be such that the wisdom should be such that it is directly in opposition with the ignorance with respect to the object of apprehension. Okay, so now this is the purpose. That wisdom should be introduced. So what is now the we said that it should be, the two should be that in opposition with respect to object of apprehension. What is the object of apprehension of the ignorance? Tell me. What is the object of apprehension? Now we come to quite the good point, or come to a point where we understand that, okay, the purpose, we not forget the purpose. Purpose is to remove the self-grasping ignorance, for which we have to introduce counterforce. Counterforce should be that it should be done in opposition with the ignorance with respect to the object of apprehension. Now, so wisdom, we should have the object of apprehension in such a way that it is the opposite of how the ignorance apprehends. So what is the object of apprehension of the ignorance? Okay, Shubhamla, Tinzulosala.
Seeing the object as intrinsically real.
Okay, seeing the object intrinsically real can be a little complicated. You getting it? It should be object apprehension, self-grasping ignorance is intrinsic existence. To make it very simple, intrinsic. Don't add too much. Seeing, then focus on seeing. Seeing is a reality. We cannot reject it. Seeing intrinsic. Okay, seeing intrinsic reality. Does it exist or not? Hey, seeing intrinsic existence. Does it exist or not? I'm talking about intrinsic existence. Seeing intrinsic existence, does it exist or not? I'm not saying seeing the emptiness of intrinsic reality. I'm saying the seeing intrinsic existence. Does it exist or not? It does not exist, raise hands. It does not exist. It does exist, raise hands. So there, because it exists, it is not rejected, raise hands. Because it exists, it is not the object of apprehension, self-grasping, ignorance. Raise hands? Hey, this is everybody's raising their hand. Saying that seeing intrinsic existence, this is not the object of apprehension, self-grasping, ignorance. What is the object of apprehension, self-grasping, ignorance then? Okay, the little girl there. Yes, yes. Sheyang, tell me.
What was the question again?
What is the object of apprehension of self-grasping ignorance? Ignorance, what does it see?
It sees bad negativity, not positive.
Louder.
It sees everything unpositive.
Okay, everything is negative.
Yeah.
Unpositive, negative. Very good, thank you. Okay, so what is the object of apprehension, self-grasping ignorance? Omala? Is Omala?
Intrinsic existence.
Intrinsic existence, not seeing intrinsic existence.
No.
Yes. Okay. Intrinsic existence. Now, if this is object of apprehension of self-grasping ignorance, intrinsic existence, if that is object of apprehension of self-grasping ignorance, what is the opposite of intrinsic existence? Emptiness of intrinsic existence. So that must be the object of apprehension of the wisdom. If that's the object of apprehension of wisdom, that object should not be negated. Emptiness of intrinsic existence should not be negated. Absence of intrinsic existence should not be negated. Whereas the opponents say that the intrinsic existence is negated. Emptiness of intrinsic existence is negated. Everything is negated. Then you are negating the object of apprehension of the wisdom. Then the wisdom is seen as the deceptive mind. If the wisdom is deceptive mind, the whole system for you to remove your miseries is gone. Okay, so it says, furthermore, the last paragraph, furthermore, when you refute essential or intrinsic nature of self with regard to the aggregates, this gives rise to a wisdom consciousness thinking. Intrinsic nature or self does not exist. Self here, self does not mean the person. It simply means the word, Tibetan word is dark. Dark. Dark has a connotation of the independence or intrinsic. So the intrinsic or self does not exist. If you also refute them, now look, see, the wisdom sees the emptiness of the intrinsic nature. And if you refute the lack of intrinsic nature or emptiness of intrinsic nature, that is the object of that wisdom consciousness, then you are refuting the Madhyamaka view. So we are deliberately cultivating that wisdom to see the emptiness of intrinsic reality. And now you are rejecting this, you are rejecting the Madhyamaka view. This is because you have refuted the object of the wisdom consciousness that knows that phenomena lack intrinsic nature. This is what I ask of those who claim to refute both the intrinsic nature and the absence of intrinsic nature. So those who say that intrinsic nature is also negated, absence of intrinsic nature also negated, everything is negated. If you do that, then you are negating the object of the wisdom. Object of wisdom. Okay. This is what I ask of those who claim to refute both intrinsic nature and the absence of intrinsic nature. Please tell me how you refute the absence of intrinsic nature. How do you refute the absence of intrinsic nature? That is the object of the wisdom consciousness, ascertaining that the aggregates do not intrinsically exist. So that is a wisdom, and this wisdom cultivating, cultivation of this is the only hope for you to remove your pains. So how do you reject the wisdom? Means whose aboriginal object tallies with reality, and you are rejecting reality. But Arya Nagarjuna taught that emptiness does not exist. The opponents were saying. You are saying that emptiness exists, but Arya Nagarjuna is saying emptiness does not exist. He's quoting Arya, I don't know whether it's he or she. Quoting Arya Nagarjuna. Arya Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise says, if there were the slightest trace which is non-empty, if there is something of non-empty, then the trace of emptiness, then there can be emptiness also there. Emptiness would exist as well. As there's no trace that is, since non-empty does not exist at all, so therefore, how could there be a trace of emptiness? How could there be emptiness? Okay. So now this is from Arya Nagarjuna. What would you say? So they're saying that I'm not saying it from my, it's not my words, it's what Arya Nagarjuna is saying, emptiness does not exist. Okay, so how to resolve this now? Okay, Tenzin Shambhala. How to resolve this?
Geshe, in the quote it says, if there were a slightest trace which is non-empty, which means if there would be intrinsic existence. So Arya Nagarjuna is saying, if there would be intrinsic existence, then emptiness also would have intrinsic existence.
Okay, so therefore, how could there be a trace of emptiness? Which means there's no emptiness.
There would be an intrinsic trace of emptiness.
Okay, so then Shambhala is adding the qualifier intrinsic. So keep in mind that what then Shambhala, how he said is just perfectly correct. So keep in mind that say, pick up whatever is with you and show that to me. Show that to me. And now look at it yourself. Look at it yourself and see how does it appear as intrinsically real, objectively real, or that your mind is creating it. How does it appear? Our mind is creating it. Resents that mind is creating it. Resents. Okay. No. It appears objectively real. Resents. Okay. Now tell me, which objects appears objectively real? The flower or the book? Huh? The flower, the book? Huh? Or when does it happen? In the mornings or in the evenings? When do things appear intrinsically real? In the mornings or in the evenings? Huh? All time, 24/7. Okay. So we live as though like there's a whole fabric. Our mind interacts with the whole fabric of intrinsic reality. Within the intrinsic reality, then things operate. This is what we believe. You getting it? So within the intrinsic, whatever we communicate, whatever we talk, whatever we feel, we see as though like on the intrinsic level. On the intrinsic level. Emptiness is also intrinsic. Even emptiness is also intrinsic. This misconception. Do you agree? So therefore, what Arya Nagarjuna is rejecting is that this fabric with which we think that we're operating, we think that we're operating in the world of intrinsic reality everywhere. Look at the pillar. Look at the people around. Yes. Okay. Look at somebody look at the person next to you. Look at the person next to you. Look at the person next to you. Hey, don't smile. I don't say smile. You're smiling. Okay. And now close your eyes. And think of that person who made you smile. Think of the same person who made you smile. Okay, good. I'm glad that nobody's smiling now. If you smile, it's time for you to go to mental hospital. And I'm wondering if there's a mental hospital close by. Okay. So now tell me, why in the first case, you invariably smile came? Invariably. Involuntarily, the smile came. In the second case, smile did not come. Why? Anyone? Raise hands. Okay, yes, Tenzi Anjanla. Raise hand, yes.
Здравствуйте, Гешала. В первом случае я улыбалась, потому что у меня был внешний объект, а во втором случае этого объекта не было.
Venerable Geshe, in first case I was smiling because I had an external object, and in the second case I did not have external object. That's why I was smiling.
Very good. Okay, in second case I don't have an external object. In the second case I don't have external object. What do you mean by no external object? Okay, the Shaoli, raise hands. Shaoli, raise hands higher, so young men can go there.
Geshe, in the first case is the eye sensors, eye consciousness is operating, so therefore there's appearance, and then the second case is the mental consciousness, and this is not appearance, but rather a cognitive function.
Thank you, Shaoli, thank you. Okay, now the little girl, yes. Stand up.
Geshe, because we know each other, we know because each other, because in this whole retreat we're together, and when we look at each other, we see a warm smile on their face, so we smile back.
Whereas when we close our eyes and think of the person, why you are not smiling?
Because we can't see their warm smile.
And you can imagine a person smiling at you.
Yeah.
So you also smile? Okay, thank you, inshallah. Okay, the Anand Rumla can hear me? Okay, so okay, good. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Oh yes. Raise hand, raise higher so the young man can reach you.
In the first case, we see the neighbor as objectively real. In the second case, we see the image of the neighbor, which is pure mental imputation.
Very good. Okay, now let me compare the two. What Tenzin Angela said. And your name again, sorry?
Aruna.
Huh?
Aruna.
Aruna. What Tenzin Angela said and what Aruna said, let me compare the two. So for Tenzin Angela, she said that in the first case, I see there's an external object there, which made me smile. In the second case, it's just my thought, there's no external object. So, now the Buddha sees external object or not? What do you think? Buddha sees external object or not? Lorenz? Okay, Buddha will see the emptiness of the object, the external object. But do Buddhas see all phenomena or not? They see all phenomena, including external object. So the Buddha see external object as well as the emptiness of external object. Both, yes. So Buddha sees both. External object as well as the emptiness of external object, both. So Buddha sees external object, but the involuntary smile will not come. Buddha may smile to make you happy, but not involuntary smile. Whereas in our case, the involuntary smile comes. If it is because of the external object, then for the Buddha also involuntary smile should come. You're getting it? Whereas the difference, as Aruna said, is that for the Buddha, the other person does not appear as objectively real. Other person does not appear as objectively real. So there's whereas in the case of you are thinking, you know that it's coming from a mind. It's not from the purely from the object, it's from the mind. You're getting it? Okay. You want to end up into confusion or not? You want to end up in confusion? Are you sure? At your own risk. At your own risk. Ready? No? Yes. Yes, raise hands. Okay. I'm happy. So Aruna should be the champion. Right? Should be the captain. And all those who said yes at my own risk. My question is, when you imagine this person, the appearance of the person came to your mind? Yes, no. Aruna. Yes. So the appearance of the object, appearance of the person appears as objectively real. Yes, no. Appearance of the person appears as objectively real. Yes, no. Everything appears objectively real to us. Yes, no. Now our captain is lost. Captain could not answer. Okay, those who said yes, raise hands. So even the appearance of that person appears objectively real to me. Simply because things appear to me objectively doesn't mean that it should make me go into involuntary pull, smile, or involuntary push. Not necessary. You're getting it? Because everything, including the appearance of the person, even that also appears as intrinsically real to us. Of course, not to the direct realization of emptiness. Otherwise, except for the direct realization of emptiness, to all other minds, intrinsic reality appears. Okay, don't forget. Okay, let's now continue. So the question remains, and yes, Tsongkhapa gave a beautiful answer. If there were the slightest trace which is non-empty as intrinsic reality, then there should be emptiness also as intrinsically real. Since there is no trace that is non-empty, non-empty as intrinsically real is not there. Therefore, even emptiness cannot exist as intrinsically. Therefore, the Buddha taught emptiness of. Therefore, for the Buddha taught emptiness is taught to say that even the emptiness does not exist intrinsically. Okay, how many are happy with this presence? Therefore, the Buddha taught emptiness to say that emptiness does not exist intrinsically. Presence? You're happy? Are you sure? Next. Emptiness is double negation. It should be non-empty. Emptiness, right? Emptiness is negation. Of emptiness is negation. Double negation. Double negation is positive, intrinsic. Okay, Anasavi, tell me.
It's emptiness, that is, it's emptiness of intrinsic existence of emptiness.
This is exact word. Emptiness of intrinsic existence of the emptiness of intrinsic. There's double negation. Emptiness of emptiness.
Yeah.
So it's positive.
No.
Why not? So the non-anasophy is anasophy.
Yes.
Yes. So double negation. Why yes? Non-anasophy is anasophy. Why? Okay, anasophy, you may be confused. It's her name. So non-flower is flower.
Yeah.
Yes. Why?
Because it's direct opposite. When you say flower, non-flower, you say the flower.
Why?
Non-flower, you say a flower exists.
Why?
You don't put intrinsically. You say.
This is not my question.
Yeah.
Non-flower is flower. Why?
Because of double negation.
Double negation.
Yeah.
So where this double negation should be the positive.
Yes.
Don't give up.
If it's yes.
Yeah. So emptiness, double negation. So emptiness, this negation, yes.
Yes.
Emptiness, double negation.
No.
There are two emptinesses.
Yes.
Two is double.
Don't agree. Not here.
Okay, so this is for your debate. Okay, let's see. Therefore, reading just after the verse. Therefore, because there is nothing that is not empty, because there's nothing that is not empty of intrinsic reality, emptiness that is absence of intrinsic existence also does not exist intrinsically. Okay, but this quam. Quam means the opponent's side. Opponent saying it does not add any of the qualifier. It says there's nothing which is non-empty, which means anything should necessarily be the empty. Intrinsic, including emptiness, is also empty. Empty means non-existent. So this is what Arya Nagarjuna taught. Reply. Okay, now tell me. As the Ten Shambhala said, now let's read the reply. Here in the fundamental treatise is the fundamental wisdom of the middle way by Arya Nagarjuna. Fundamental wisdom of the middle way by Arya Nagarjuna, main text on emptiness. Empty and non-empty refer to being empty and non-empty of intrinsic nature. That qualification is there. And they are used in this way throughout the entire text. So where, for example, form is empty, there's no eye, no ear, no nose, and so forth. So in all these things, the qualifier must be attached. Otherwise, you are not reading it properly. Being empty and not empty of intrinsic nature, and they are used in this way throughout the entire text, from beginning to end. Thus, not empty of intrinsic nature means having. So, if you say that the not empty of intrinsic nature, if you, as opponents say, empty of intrinsic nature is rejected, then what happens? Double negation comes. Not negation, rejecting emptiness of intrinsic reality. Rejecting is negative, and rejecting or not empty of intrinsic existence. Double negation? Yes. Double negation is positive. Then intrinsic existence should be affirmed. Does not empty, not the negative, empty again negative, not empty of intrinsic nature, so double negation cancels and the intrinsic nature returns, means having intrinsic nature. What could be more ridiculous than your position that since there is no intrinsic nature, emptiness, that is the absence of intrinsic nature, also does not exist. This is so ridiculous. Saying that, on the one hand, you are rejecting intrinsic reality. On the other hand, you are establishing intrinsic reality by saying that the emptiness of intrinsic reality does not exist. If the emptiness of intrinsic reality does not exist, then emptiness should the intrinsic existence should exist. You agree? You agree? Okay. What did you agree? Then, quick, someone. You said you agree. What did you agree with? Resent? Okay, what I said is that if you say the intrinsic existence is rejected, what is rejected? Say I'm the past Indian the Tibetan masters, early Tibetan masters, who said that intrinsic existence is rejected. And then I said emptiness and intrinsic existence also rejected. So these two contradict or not contradict? How contradict? How?
First you said intrinsic existence is rejected. Emptiness of the intrinsic existence is also rejected.
Yes.
So that means it is the first negation is emptiness, and then again you are rejecting it. So that means you are accepting the intrinsic existence.
Okay, how many agree with Indrajitji's hands? When you say negate the emptiness of intrinsic existence, mean you're accepting intrinsic existence. You resent? Yes. So on the one hand, you reject the intrinsic existence, and on the second hand, you're accepting intrinsic existence. These two are contradictory. Okay, good. What would be more ridiculous than your position that since there is no intrinsic nature, the emptiness, that is the absence of intrinsic nature, does not exist. Furthermore, the definite knowledge means a wisdom or a discerning mind. Furthermore, a definite knowledge, so knowledge, again, there's ambiguity there, knowledge. In Tibetan also the words have ambiguity. For example, in Tibetan the word is tawa. For example, view, in Tibetan is tawa. So tawa has multiple meanings. Tawa is the subject which views, and tawa is the object. Emptiness of intrinsic is also tawa, and the mind which sees the emptiness also is tawa. Act of seeing is also tawa. So therefore, there's ambiguity here. Likewise, say here when we say knowledge. So usually, as translators, this is a huge response, particularly translating the philosophy texts. Huge responsibility to try to avoid the language of ambiguity as much as possible. To stay away from the ambiguity, using words which are ambiguous. Stay away from that. Otherwise, the readers will find it very difficult. Knowledge has a connotation to the subject, which knows. Knowledge, and the knowledge also has a connotation to the act of knowing. The knowledge of, act of knowing. And sometimes the knowledge in the context of the object that you're going to know. So, there's ambiguity there. So instead, it says, furthermore, the definite knowledge or the definite awareness, or even the awareness also but awareness is more commonly used in the subject. The definite knowledge or the mind which knows, the mind which definitely knows, which apprehends, there's something such as a seedling lacks essential intrinsic nature, apprehends that there is no intrinsic nature in the seedling. It does not think, okay, this is very important. Now, say the mind which knows the reality, there's no intrinsic seedling. There's no intrinsic seedling. And that mind does not think that the absence of intrinsic nature exists, or the absence of intrinsic nature does not exist. This mind simply if they say the wisdom which sees the emptiness, it simply rejects the object negation, non-affirming negative, full stop. And it also says that absence of intrinsic reality exists. This mind does not think like this. It exists, it not exists. This is not how the wisdom of emptiness views things. So, this absence of intrinsic nature exists, nor does it think. This absence of intrinsic nature doesn't exist. This is not how the wisdom of emptiness views things. What does the wisdom of emptiness views? What does it view? It views just the non-affirming negative. Just the non-affirming negative. You just stop to say that existence of intrinsic existence, that is negated. Intrinsic existence is negated, full stop. And you don't say the absence of emptiness intrinsic existence exists. It doesn't exist. That additional part is not coming. This is not the job of the... So, emptiness exists and not exists. Who decides? Emptiness exists or not exists. Existence of the emptiness decided by? Emptiness decided by? Emptiness decided by which analysis? Ultimate analysis. Existence of emptiness decided by conventional analysis. You're getting it? Okay, so earlier the information now helps us here. So emptiness and existence of emptiness, these two are different. These are not the same. So the wisdom of emptiness simply cognizes or discerns emptiness. It doesn't discern the existence of the emptiness or non-existence of the existence. This is the job of the conventional analysis, not ultimate analysis. Okay, so close your eyes, turn inward, and know this. It is very easy to understand it. It would not be appropriate to apprehend the absence of intrinsic nature as existing in that way. Okay, suppose that, okay, now here, suppose that this did mean that it is proper to use reason. Now it's easier for us. Suppose that this did mean that it is proper to use reason to refute the existence of emptiness in order to overcome the conception that the absence of intrinsic nature exists. What do you understand? Intrinsic existence or existence of intrinsic existence? Intrinsic emptiness or intrinsic existence? Okay, Shandila.
I think it means if we could use conventional analysis to establish emptiness.
Okay, so Shandila, before you jump to the statement, just try to explain what is said here. Suppose that this did mean that it is proper to use reason to refute the existence of emptiness in order to overcome the conception that the absence of intrinsic existence, the intrinsic nature exists.
I didn't understand what it means.
It's English. Shandila, I know your English is so good. Okay, maybe Jenla, native English speaker.
Geshe, could you ask the question?
No, it's not a question. It's just explain this. What is said here?
The last line.
And not last. Suppose that this did mean that it is proper to use reason to refute the existence of emptiness in order to overcome the conception that the absence of intrinsic nature exists.
Reason to refute the existence of emptiness in order.
Okay, it's not just English. This is it involves the philosophy there. You getting it? Okay, so Victor, hey young man.
Maybe this is pointing towards a fallacy that's about to be shown.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
Suppose that this did mean that it is proper to use ultimate analysis reason to refute the existence of emptiness in order to overcome the conception that the absence of intrinsic nature exists. In other words, that emptiness really exists. I can find emptiness is existent. right? I found emptiness. It's there, as opposed to a non-affirming negative.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. Okay, now we will. Thank you. So let's put it like this: say, a mind which sees the emptiness of intrinsic reality. You understand it? You understand what I said? The mind which sees the emptiness of intrinsic reality. Hey, the mind, the wisdom which sees the emptiness of intrinsic reality. You understand it? What happens? Mind hangs up. Okay, now I'll make it easy. The wisdom which sees emptiness. You agree? Hey, Maitreya. Wisdom which sees emptiness. You agree? Now let me make a little more additional words. Wisdom which sees the. You said wisdom which sees emptiness. You agree? Wisdom which sees the emptiness of intrinsic reality. You agree? Good. Now, wisdom which sees the existence of the emptiness. You agree? Do you see difference? Let me say two things, and do you see if there's difference? First, wisdom which sees emptiness. Make it very simple. Number two, wisdom which sees the existence of emptiness. You see difference? Okay, Geshe Shambhala, what's the difference? Here, Geshe Shambhala, raise hand. Here. One big.
The first wisdom is analyzing in the level of ultimate analysis, and the second wisdom, because you see the existence, is in the level of the conventional analysis.
Okay, these two wisdoms, what is the difference? Wisdom which sees emptiness, wisdom which sees the existence of emptiness. What difference do you see? Okay, Sanjukta. Yes, Sanjukta. Yeah.
Thank you. Geshe, wisdom which sees the emptiness is ultimate reality, and wisdom which sees the existence of emptiness is conventional.
Okay. This is Nubala. Okay. Wisdom which sees emptiness is ultimate reality. Yes, no?
Yes.
Wisdom which sees emptiness is ultimate reality. Yes, no? No. No, yes. Wisdom which sees emptiness is ultimate reality. Raise hands. Okay, if you're from NMC 1, NMC 2, penalty. You're getting it. Sanjukta, not NMC 1. So you're exempted. Otherwise, penalty. Yes, okay. Tinsu
Geshe, when you see emptiness directly, you're dissolving something, you're negating something.
This is not my question.
But
My
there's
question-
no existence of emptiness. There's no such thing.
This is not my question. What is the difference between these two? Wisdom which sees emptiness, wisdom which sees the existence of emptiness.
You added existence, which there's no existence that applies because it doesn't make sense.
No. It's perfectly correct. What he said is perfectly correct. In the second case, I added the word existence. Where? To the wisdom?
No, you added existence of emptiness. There's no existence of
Existence
emptiness.
to the emptiness.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
Okay.
There's no existence.
Oh, existence of emptiness non-existent?
No, I didn't say that. I said.
So it's yes, you said it because you said it doesn't make sense.
No, I
It
said
doesn't make sense.
the word adding existence. It doesn't make sense. That's
Are you sure?
Yeah. No, existence, wisdom. What you said. The second
Existence of emptiness.
Yes.
Existence of emptiness, is it true or not?
No.
Okay,
No.
so you belong
that
to this
word.
class.
No. That what I'm saying that the second you said the wisdom that.
Okay, so let's not go to digress too much. What I agree with what Nubala said. In the first case, I said wisdom which sees emptiness. The object here, emptiness is the object of this mind. In the second case, I added the word existence of emptiness. The object here is, object of the second wisdom is existence of the emptiness is the object of the second mind. You're getting it? So these two wisdoms, the objects are different. In the first case, ultimate truth, the object of the first mind is the ultimate truth. And the object of the second mind is, it's not an ultimate truth, it's a conventional truth. You're getting it? This is difference. This is a difference. So now, what Lama Tsongkhapa is saying here is that suppose that this did mean that it is proper to use reason to refute the existence of emptiness. Existence of emptiness is ultimate truth, the conventional truth. Existence of emptiness, conventional truth, ultimate truth. Conventional truth, very good. So even if you say that the reasons will reject the existence, refute the existence of emptiness, in order to overcome the conception that the absence of intrinsic nature exists, meaning that, oh, absence of emptiness exists. I think like this, and you correct me saying that no, you view the existence of the absence of intrinsic existence. Is the words say the emptiness? When you use multiple words, it can be a little confusing. So I say that emptiness exists. So emptiness exists. So existence of emptiness is conventional truth. Now I make the words a little longer. I said that emptiness of intrinsic existence exists. You agree? I said it. I said that emptiness exists. Does it make sense? It's very easy. Mind doesn't hang. The moment I add word, then mind starts to hang. Emptiness of intrinsic existence exists. You agree? It's the same actually. Like one is longer version, one is a shorter version. So emptiness of intrinsic existence exists. I said this, and somebody says, oh, no, you're wrong. So that person may reject me. On the other hand, we say that Hapala, he's saying that things are empty of existence. Things are empty of intrinsic reality. What's the object of Genapala's wisdom? Things are empty of intrinsic reality. Huh? So which is when mind hangs. Things are empty of intrinsic reality. What's the object of this mind? Intrinsic reality. Yes, no? Kate, no? Things being empty of intrinsic reality is the object, not the intrinsic reality. Okay. Okay. So, which means now we have to stop. The mind hangs. I can see the mind hangs, but it's at your own risk, because you said that when is going to start this text. You said it. Okay, we'll stop it here. Tabge toje shage reso ton shenge meto dege bonjomba sege numbo tabo jebe ko shage yebo kyala jaselo oh mone maha Mahamonaye Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamunaya Swaha. What you will do the end declaration prayer. It should be on page 55. Page 55. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenmo say Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samadabhada too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in the three times, so that I might perform the noble Buddhas of these deeds. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds in the prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of three times, and to the upholding of the doctrine, scripture, and insight. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect and the two stages. Having dispelled all the inner and outer obstacles and downfalls, such as poverty, despair, oppression, cruelty, epidemics, and natural disasters due to environmental degradation, may all beings forever enjoy the glory of peace and happiness. Today, inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generated the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting on what means can enhance his teaching achieved by the Supreme Savior through strenuous efforts over countless eons. From my true collections, vast space that I've amassed from working with the effort in this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds were blinded by ignorance. Three prostrations together. Oops.